Hi, my name is Caden Harry. This is my living library project titled From Republican to Conservative, How I Align My Values. And this is a very, very long story. It's a cautionary tale. It's a hopeful tale. It's meant to show you how I align my values, how I went from somebody who is bullied and harassed to somebody who celebrates dialogue, how my values have shifted, how I've switched from being a demagogue to somebody who's an open-minded free thinker. So I'll start off with the basics. When I was in elementary school, I really liked Donald Trump. I started following him during the election cycle and learning about politics, and it really lit a fire under me. I loved watching videos from Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, the typical people that you would associate with the alt-right pipeline. And I would watch their videos and I'd learn their talking points. I'd read books from Dennis Prager, everything. And then, middle school rolls around and I'm very open about my views. This is right after the election. We have classes dedicated to promoting dialogue. Not really, but they were there for people to talk about politics and learn about political issues and learn their civics, which was great. But I was open. I'd raise my hand and say, well, I like Trump, this, that, the other. But my reputation started, getting a little worse. And there were a lot of reasons to not like Caden Harry back in 2017. I was fat. I was, pretty stinky. I had Reddit kid humor. All I would talk about was Big Chungus. I wasn't exactly the prime example of somebody that you'd want to have a discussion with. And my reputation started getting a little ugly and, reasonably so. But one thing that wasn't reasonable was people started throwing labels at me. They started calling me a bigot. And every ist you could think of, every ism that you could throw my way was attached to my name. And I was slandered and I was harassed and I was mocked. From 6th grade to my senior year of high school, I had a horrible reputation. People that did not know me knew my name and talked bad about me in group chats because they would see me in the hallway, walking past them. It got really bad. And because of this, I became sort of a social outcast. I got thrown out of friend groups. I had friends that wouldn't hang out with me outside of school because they didn't want to associate with me. They didn't want to be known as Caden Harry's friend. And yeah, my reputation just wasn't that great. But I thought it would change in high school. So I start my freshman year. I join football to lose some weight. I start working on myself. I start discovering more about my political views. I start talking to people a little more. And I start cooling down on how chatty and annoying I was, but nothing that I did would stop how I was treated. And because of that, I just started being pushed away. I started hating the people I disagreed with. And because of that hatred, I started hating myself. And I started growing further and further and further to the right. I would talk to extremists, and I agreed with people more than I probably should have. And so when I was thrown into an echo chamber because of my political views, it started becoming like a pressure cooker. And then the lid was topped off when I went into a debate competition. And I met people from the far left, the far right, the left, right, the moderates, everybody you can think of. I started having conversations. I met people who argued for the sake of arguing, just like me. I met people who wanted to talk about the issues. I had to debate congressional dockets and discover what the values were and the issues. One time I did a debate on solar panels. I used to think that climate change was really, really, really fake. And so I did research and I discovered, climate change is real, but I'm going to oppose this anyway because actually this solution is bad for the environment. So I sort of, sorted myself out that way. And I talked to people and they showed me more and more evidence of some of the things that I believe maybe not being the full truth. And so I started realizing, I hold these values very close to my heart. I'm a conservative. I'm anti-abortion. I'm very pro-life. But being pro-life also means I should be, pro-medicine. It means I should be anti-war. It means I should be pro-climate. And so my values started turning into something more refined. I didn't hold opposing ideologies anymore. I didn't believe things just because the party said that I should believe them. And so I started aligning my values. I started arguing with people. And I started finding common ground. And that's why I say I'm a conservative, not a Republican. Because I stopped following the party line. I started talking to people. And I started to realize that the people that I had so much hatred for, it was not because of their political views. It was because of how I was treated. In fact, I love liberals. I love conservatives. I love Republicans. I love Democrats. I love everybody across the political spectrum. Not because I agree with them, but rather the people that show me the compassion, show me the ability to open their heart and their mind and argue with me and say, hey, that's wrong, or hey, I kind of agree with you on that. Why don't we explore that? Those are the people that pulled me out of my polarization, that pulled me out of my isolation, that put me in the position I'm in today, where I actively seek to be challenged. And ultimately, the crux of what I'm trying to tell you is you have to disagree with people. You have to talk to people. You don't win debates. You don't pull people to your side by showing them, a hateful heart. It's sort of like with my religion. I became a Catholic at 18 years old. And it wasn't because some person evangelized to me and told me you're going to go to hell. It's because they opened my mind and they showed me the logic behind why atheism wasn't correct and why, this, that, the other. And I started shaping my values. And all of these stories of my life, and, I'm only 20, I'm only 19, I don't know a whole lot, still learning. But all of these things have shown me that having an open mind and having discourse with somebody is the only way to really grow as a human being, both you and the other person. The only way you're ever going to convince somebody to agree with you is by taking them out to lunch and, talking to them, going to a party and socializing with somebody and challenging their views. And so I invite all of you that are hearing this, seeing this, to just go grab a coffee with somebody that really angered you at school, somebody that you heard in an argument and they said something that really just triggered something within you, something that really bothered you, and invite them to talk and understand what they believe. You're not going into this conversation to change their mind. You're not going into this conversation for anything other than understanding and developing a connection with somebody you disagree with. I'm a member of Political Review at CSU. I have people on the far left that I've gone to parties with and had a great time with. And, I've gone to lunch with them and we've chatted and we've sent each other memes on the internet. We've kind of poked fun at each other, had really good friendships, even though we are polar opposites. And so I just want you to remember that dragging people and throwing mud at their face will not change them. And if you've been a victim of harassment because of your views, well, don't give up hope. Don't harden your heart. Don't hate the left. Don't hate the right. Try to learn and humanize the people you disagree with. And if you start to do that on an individual level, you may not change the world, but you'll help a few people out and you'll drag people out of their pipelines. You'll drag people out of their echo chambers. This is Caden Harry, and this is my message. I want you guys to be unified. Throw yourself into an uncomfortable position and just talk. Because you'll find out the people you disagree with agree with you on more things than you think. Thank you.